Namaste dosto, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'll be talking about emergency fund. What is the importance of emergency fund? When you should have an emergency fund? Who should create an emergency fund? And how can you create an emergency fund? So what do we mean by emergency fund? Emergency fund means it's a go-to corpus or a kitty which you create for your own self for your any emergency purpose. Life is full of ups and downs, and similarly life is full of unforeseen circumstances, and the best example is COVID-19 pandemic. No one ever imagined that such kind of pandemic would come in our lifetime, but it came, and the whole world, whole globe was devastated by the pandemic. There were a lot of health challenges, lot of people went into financial trouble, a lot of people lost their job, lot of business got shut down, and there were many people who had to take certain really a tough decision while managing their finances. So my dear friends, creating an emergency fund help you to come out of such kind of unforeseen circumstances and will help you to be stress free for that particular period. Now, who should have an emergency fund? A 20-year-old guy, 30-year, 40-year, or 50-year? So the answer to that is, as soon as you start your living, as soon as you start your earning, start creating an emergency fund from the day one, because that will help you to have set aside some amount for an emergency in a disciplined manner. Now you might think that I am already 30 years of old, or I am 40 years, I have not done any emergency fund till now, so am I at loss? No, my dear friend, you are not at loss. The best day to start is today. As it is said, the best day to plant a sapling was 20 years ago, and the second best day is today. So देर आए दुरुस्त आए, अगर आपने नहीं किया है तो आज भी आप कर सकते हैं, उसमें कोई हार्म नहीं है. But after knowing this, the importance of emergency fund, still if you delay, then it's a wrong thing. You all should have an emergency fund for yourself and for your family to protect them and protect your family from any unforeseen circumstances. Now, two important things to remember for emergency fund before creating an emergency fund. Never ever mix emergency fund with investment or get confused with emergency fund as an investment. It is not an investment, my dear friends. It is an fund which you are creating for your future expenditures if there is any unforeseen situation and you need to take care of the finances for that particular period. तो इसको हम इन्वेस्टमेंट के साथ कंफ्यूज क्यों कर रहे हैं? हम क्यों ये सोच रहे हैं कि मैं अगर इमरजेंसी फंड बनाता हूँ एंड आई कीप दैट अमाउंट इन XYZ place, then how much return I am getting? No, we don't need to think like that. Here we are not talking about investment or growing your money. We are talking about saving your finances for the unforeseen situation. So first thing is never make emergency fund as an investment. Second is, the best way to do emergency fund is just think that it's an expenditure and forget about it. Do the create a fund and think that it was an expenditure and forget about it. जैसे आप अभी कोविड के बाद everything has started opening and travels and all, we are going out, right? So last year अगर आप किसी वेकेशन पे गए होंगे तो वो पैसा आपको वापस मिलेगा? Will you get that money which you spent on a vacation, you'll get back? No, you treat it as an expenditure. Similarly, just treat emergency fund as an expenditure and forget about it. So what will happen in that way? You will not keep on thinking about how much return I'm getting on that fund which I created, how much money I'm getting, and it is not giving me good return. Let me take out money from there, put it somewhere else. No, emergency fund is not to be treated as an investment. Now, three important criteria which I want to talk about for emergency fund, which is a characteristic of an emergency fund, are: one, it should have liquidity. That is the highest criteria of an emergency fund. How easily can you take out money whenever there is an emergency? That is what you need to identify to create an emergency fund. It should be liquid. You should be easily able to access your money. Second is, it should provide your capital protection. आप जहां भी पैसा रख रहे हैं, wherever you are creating that emergency fund, your amount, your money should be protected. Your money should be safe. Third is, it should provide good, reasonable return. Okay, so when we create an emergency fund, we don't put all the money in one place. So we can think about putting that money in some other areas where we can get at least reasonable return. Now, why is that? So that you don't think that your money is sitting idle. Some person may have done their emergency fund 10 years ago. Now, if you keep that money just at home, that money won't grow. However, if you can just divide that money in such a way that, some amount of return also you are getting and some amount you are not getting, and that amount you have easy access. So that it should form the criteria of emergency fund. So three things: one is liquidity, it should provide, it should provide your capital protection, and it should provide a reasonable return. Now, emergency fund is a non-negotiable thing. Like health is non-negotiable. You cannot play around your health. You cannot play around education. Education is a priority now. Similarly, finances are a priority, and same is emergency fund. Whenever you want to do your personal finances, you want to do your financial planning, emergency fund is something which is non-negotiable, because we don't know what uncertainty will occur in life. So you should always be prepared for it. Life is very, very beautiful, but we should be prepared for any uncertainty, and we should plan for it in well advance. So now I'll help you to explain how can you create an emergency fund. It's a 4 easy step which you can create. First is, create your monthly budget. Create a budget. See how much is your monthly expenditure every month. Now, when I talk about monthly expenditures, that means something which is a necessity and you have to spend that amount on that particular item. That definitely don't account for any luxurious items. The necessity item which you require to run your home. Monthly expenditure. Create a budget. Step 1. Step 2 is multiply that expenditure by 6. Why 6? Because as per the research, it says that you should have at least 6 months of emergency fund. Why? Because any time, let's say, if anyone loses his job or his business got shut down, which we had seen in COVID. So they say 6 months is a good amount of time for the person to revive back, to get back the same amount of money which he was drawing 6 months before. So ideally, 6 months is a good number. Otherwise, more the better. 12 months also you can do if you can. Third is, allocate your money appropriately in appropriate areas. I will talk about it in a while, like in which area where you can invest or where you can save your money. And now, fourth is investing that money where you want to invest. Step 4. Which mode and which proportion should you invest, and how much should you invest? We will see with a calculation. Give me a moment. I'll just share my screen. Here you go. So as you see, this is just an example I have created. Let's say these are all your home monthly expenditure, which are a necessity. Like you do it every month. Okay, so home EMI, household expenditures, which includes your grocery, milk, and maids, and all those things. Home repairs or maintenance, personal care, vehicle insurance, child care, credit card payments if you have a credit card, entertainment, self education, child education, gifts. You might have some birthdays or weddings every month to attend, so gifts for that. Hobbies, how much you want to invest on your hobbies, vacation, and monthly SIPs. So these come to total of 92,000, just a hypothetical number. Now, my dear friends, I want to ask you one question. Out of these, there are some expenditures which are not a necessity expenditure. Can you help me identify that? Okay, yes. So those items are hobbies, vacation, and monthly SIP. Why these are not part of your monthly expenditure? Because hobbies is something which you want, which is not a necessity, but you want to do it. So it will fall in luxury item. Vacation will definitely, or travel will definitely fall in luxury item, because that is not a mandatory thing without which you cannot survive. Third is monthly SIP or other investment if you are doing, because that is not an expenditure. Although it is getting deducted from your bank account, it is not an expenditure, it is an investment. So let me just remove these three. I had put this just to get give you a clarity. Now the total expenditure comes to 65,000, which let's say I am incurring every month for my monthly expenditure. Now, as I come down, I see that, I just multiplied the 65,000 into 6. So if अगर मुझे 6 महीने का इमरजेंसी फंड बनाना है, तो मुझे 3,90,000 रुपया का एक फंड बनाना होगा. और प्लीज उसको इन्वेस्टमेंट के साथ कंफ्यूज ना करें. और अगर मुझे लगता है कि नहीं 6 मंथ्स मेरे लिए थोड़े कम है, मेरे पास है पैसे, मैं सेव कर सकता हूँ, so you can go with 12 month fund also, which will come to around 7,80,000. So this is according to 65,000 monthly expenditure. If your monthly expenditure are lesser than that, then you will get less amount in this also. Now, how to save? Let's say I'll talk about 6 months first. Now, this is the way you can divide your fund. You should have 10% of your fund, which is like 10% of this is 39,000. आपके पास कैश होना चाहिए घर में. 20% of 3,90,000 is 78,000 आपके बैंक अकाउंट में होना चाहिए. 78,000 आप किसी एफडी में अकाउंट खोल सकते हैं. 20%, which is 78,000, you can invest in recurring deposit. Now, एफडी और रिकरिंग डिपॉजिट दोनों में क्यों करना है? क्योंकि एफडी का जो लॉक इन पीरियड होता है वो थोड़ा लंबा होता है. आरडी का जो होता है वो लॉक इन पीरियड बहुत छोटे छोटे होते हैं, 1 मंथ, 3 मंथ, 6 मंथ, 12 मंथ, 24 मंथ. तो आपको जैसा लगता है आप वो चूज कर सकते हैं. एंड वन मोर इम्पोर्टेंट इज यू कैन इन्वेस्ट सम अमाउंट इन लिक्विड म्यूचुअल फंड. ये लिक्विड म्यूचुअल फंड में इन्वेस्ट करने से क्या होता है? सबसे पहला बेनिफिट तो आपको ये मिलता है कि you get your money within 24 business hours. आपको अगर पैसे की जरूरत पड़ी, आपने वहां पे इंस्ट्रक्शन डाला और आपके पास 24 बिजनेस आवर्स में पैसे आ जाते हैं. सो और दूसरा बेनिफिट ये है कि उसमें आपका ग्रोथ भी अच्छा होता है. ओके, नाउ दिस इज 6 मंथ्स एंड 12 मंथ्स. इस हिसाब से आप आप अपने हिसाब से इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं, अपने हिसाब से सेव कर सकते हैं. अब आप पूछेंगे कैश में क्यों करना है, बैंक में क्यों करना है? क्योंकि लेट्स से कोई इमरजेंसी आ गया और मुझे तुरंत पैसे चाहिए और बैंक का सर्वर डाउन है और एटीएम कार्ड्स नहीं चल रहे हैं, तो तब मुझे क्या होगा? मुझे कैश मेरा मुझे हेल्प करेगा, राइट? एंड दूसरा एक चीज है, क्रेडिट कार्ड भी बहुत लोग यूज करते हैं, विच यू कैन ऑल्सो यूज इफ यू यूज इट इन अ वेरी इन्फॉर्म्ड वे. मान लीजिए अगर कोई इमरजेंसी आ गया और आपके ये सब पैसे आने में टाइम लग रहे हैं और आपके पास कैश सिर्फ 39,000 है, आपको 50,000 कैश चाहिए, ये 50,000 का कोई खर्चा आन पड़ा है सामने. what you can do, you can swipe your credit card and make that 50,000 amount pay and immediately when you get these any of these amount in a day or two, you can pay off your credit card amount. So although you don't have to invest or set aside any amount for this credit card, you can keep it just for emergency purpose to use. Now I'll talk about what are the returns you will be getting in each of them. Like we will, अब हमें ऐसा लगता है कि हमने अपना पैसा कहीं लगाया तो थोड़ा बहुत तो पैसा हमें, थोड़ा बहुत तो रिटर्न हमें मिलना चाहिए, भले ही we are not considering this emergency fund as an investment, still some amount of return we will feel happy about it, right? So I'll just talk of in cash, definitely you will not get any return. अगर आप एक पिगी बैंक में या घर के तिजोरी में अगर आप 10,000 रखते हैं तो 10 साल बाद भी आपको 10,000 ही मिलेंगे, उसमें आपका पैसा ग्रो नहीं होता. नेक्स्ट इज बैंक अकाउंट में अगर आप पैसा रखते हैं तो 3 to 4% एनुअल रिटर्न आपको मिलता है. एफडी का एनुअल रेट है 5 to 6%. रिकरिंग डिपॉजिट रेंजेस बिटवीन 3 to 7%. लिक्विड म्यूचुअल फंड रेंजेस बिटवीन 3 to 5%. So this is the average annual return which you will get in all of this money which you have invested in various areas, and accordingly you can decide how much money you want to invest where. This is the ratio which ideally you should use so that you are not putting too much money in FD, or you're not putting too much money in liquid mutual fund also. Because remember the important thing which we said, your money should be safe, your money should be protected, right? अब मैंने इमरजेंसी फंड बना लिया और सारा का सारा पैसा मैंने स्टॉक मार्केट में डाल दिया, तो वहां पे आपका पैसा सेफ है? नहीं, सेफ नहीं है. हाईएस्ट रिटर्न आपको जरूर मिलेगा लेकिन आपका पैसा सेफ नहीं है. हमारा सबसे important thing यहाँ पे what we had to choose for emergency fund is I should have liquidity, my capital protection should be there, and a reasonable return I should be getting, right? Now the next question which might pop up to your mind, that these all are okay Krishna, but from where should I get this much money? I am a salaried person, every month I am drawing a salary and 50% of that मेरा खर्चा हो जाता है, बचता है 50%. From that some amount I invest and some amount I put in luxury items. From where do I collect this money? So only when you set aside some portion of your money in a disciplined manner, you will be able to generate a corpus of emergency fund. It will not happen in day one, it will not happen in day two, it will happen gradually. Only when you start working towards it. If you do not have an emergency fund, I would say that cut down on your luxury items, cut down on your vacations. First set aside your emergency fund and then plan for your vacations or any luxurious item. And work towards your home budget also. See if you can reduce some of the expenditures and create and you can put that money as an emergency fund, for an emergency fund. So first priority is have an emergency fund, and then go for other investment plans or future planning or retirement planning. Emergency fund is something which will help you to save your future in any kind of uncertainty. Do not forget COVID. COVID was the best example, because during COVID, many people were in huge, tremendous financial stress. And let's not go into those stress and prepare ourselves for any future uncertainties. You can do it for 6 months or 12 months as per your wish, and do remember the ratio which I have spoken about, and you can keep that ratio for your emergency fund, how to divide that emergency fund. And further, if you have any questions, you can put in the comment and I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching. Hope the video was helpful. And if you have not created an emergency fund, please do create an emergency fund. Share with your friends and families to have an emergency fund compulsorily for their own financial health. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Namaste.